Hey everybody, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm doing this really interesting series called Replacement Singers. Who did it better? Next up is Rob Halford and Tim Ripper Owens. Obviously the band is Judas Priest. Before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. That would be really cool. For you guys that are interested in wanting to learn how to sing, or you're already a singer, or even an advanced singer, I have a course. It's called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at kentamplinvocalacademy.com, where I also have a free singing forum with about 25,000 singers over there, all talking about how to get great at singing. I think you'd really like it. It's free. You can kick the tires, see if it's right for you. Pretty cool. Anyway, I want to get into this. Now, we have always started out with a little bit of criteria, talking about, first of all, posting respectfully, because I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think, which singer is better, who did it better. But it's not just who is a better singer. Remember that. It's who did it first. Did the replacement singer raise the bar of the original singer? Did the replacement singer last longer? Did they write new music that went on to help propel the band? And lots of questions like that. So it's not just as closed-ended as this. This is a very unique one here, and we're going to go through this and talk about it more. I don't want to have a spoiler alert before we get there, but I do want to say that this one's a bit on the confusing side, because it's not the least of which is interesting. My understanding is that the movie Rockstar that you guys have seen was based on the story of Tim Owens, Ripper Owens, replacing Rob Halford and Judas Priest, and so they did a movie on it. So I thought that's really cool. And even the movie is epic, and it's like really cult classic kind of thing where the songs are great. It's a great movie. You could watch it over and over again. The music alone is awesome. Trevor Rabin, I think, helped produce the music in that too. And even though I think Sammy Hagar wrote, a song or two, and then of course you have Jeff Scott Soto, you got Millie Matijevic, all kinds of great talent in there. Steelheart. In fact, the name of the band in that movie, as we all know, was Steel something, Steel Dragon. But anyway, so let's go into to check this out. Now, here's Rob first. Rob's up to plate. Here we go, Rob. Let's check it out. Okay, now, I've got to pause a couple things here, and I know I've talked a lot about Rob on other things that I've done demonstrations on, reactions to, whatever, analytics. His charisma is just off the charts. I mean, he's just so charismatic. Impossible to replace that kind of charisma. It just is. So you have to do something different, or it has to come in through a different door or happen in a different way. So there's that part. The songwriting was just great and catchy. I mean, you had this really heavy metallic kind of band that had these really hooky commercial kind of choruses that really stick in your head. So from a songwriting standpoint, it's also really, really good. So I gotta say up front, man, if I was anyone trying to replace him, really hard to beat. Now, I've seen him three or four times live. I forget how many times now. And I remember even flyering the Forum in Los Angeles when they were playing one time, hearing his screams come across the walls. I'm like, wow, just what a talent. So I say that because I just can't even imagine what it would be like to try to step into his shoes and fill his briefcase, so to speak. So, but I'm gonna play this. I had to say that along the way, because as we break into this, there's some interesting juxtapositions, which is weighing one thing against another, as we're gonna talk about him and Tim. So here we go. Cool. Now, he was known for those crazy long notes. In fact, I've done some Priest stuff. I just recently did some stuff with Sarah, so I'm not sure when all this will release. Sarah Loera, one of my students, KTVA vocalists. And I remember doing Painkiller at the end, and I almost passed out because it was just such a long note. And I did Painkiller in my chest voice, and he sings in head voice. Now, I'm going to make a funny analogy, and I'm going to get so much shit for this. Rob Halford predominantly sings in head voice, though he does sing in some chest. And he's sort of the Bee Gees of metal. What do I mean by that? Did you just say that? Yes, I did. Is everything is, ha, 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 still alive. Yeah, still alive. So everything, or a majority of what he did was this belty, reinforced falsetto, and little of it was in chest. So he reinvented himself as a metal singer by taking kind of that bright Bee Gees sort of sound that we've talked about in my singing course. Yes, I'm not kidding. Like, you start with that sound and you grow it, you make it brighter, you make it more powerful, you distort it, and you take that sound and you can end up with this kind of sound. It's the reason I'm bringing it up. I cover all of this in my singing course. I know it's a very abstract, avant-garde, bizarre way to esoteric way to share this, but it's true that yeah, sound comes from starts with a bright head voice falsetto tone, and you can grow that sound into this big distorted sound. So I wanted to say that. So he sort of reinvented, not that other people didn't do it, not people did a lot of the metal screams. Stephen Pearcy was notorious for that, and Rat and other bands where, even Steven Tyler early on in Dream On, and, Dream On, where he had a lower mid voice, lower chest voice, not much mid voice, and then the screaming demon, as he was called, high voice stuff. So some bands, they would do that. They would just do these high screams, but there was no mid voice to the sound. And Rob kind of straddles the fence of that a bit. But I bring that up because, to me, from a vocal analytics standpoint, it's important to annotate or point out. The energy is crazy. Great energy, great performance, great just showmanship. If you notice, too, Rob doesn't run up and down the stage like a maniac. That's not his shtick. His shtick is like Dio, where he kind of takes a stance and looks at you and calls you out and authority. So let's back this up. So you're going to replace Rob Halford, right? And you're saying to yourself, wow, okay. First of all, what if I'm looking to beat my opponent, or at least rise up to my opponent to challenge him, I have to know their strengths. So his strength is power, charisma, great songwriting, crazy authoritative stage performances, or frontmanship, and these long screams, long belted screams and stuff. And then stepping into a style that he invented on his own, which is sort of all head voice, power head voice stuff, metal head voice belting. And so you're looking at this, you're going, wow, whoever does this, man, they better look at that first before they do anything else. So authority, all these different things. I bring that up because you got to know your opponent, right? If you're going to step in and do this. So let's continue. This is chest voice, by the way, obviously. So frustrated as a trip from town to town. You hear him, he's kind of struggling at the peak of his chest voice. Again, could be a bad night. This is all the footage I was allowed to get from publishing companies. I heard him do this better. I'm not grading his total sum of all his performances on this one small vignette or video. So know that. But also, too, a byproduct of screaming in your head voice is the atrophication, meaning the weakening of your upper belting chest voice. It comes down, and there becomes this gaping hole between the highest note of your chest voice, the highest range of your chest voice, space, or no notes at all, and then you're belting, screaming high voice, and there's no upper register, and you can clearly hear that's what's happening here in his voice from this kind of sound. Hear that? And the only way to get that is to distort the sound so that there's no true harmonic structure or actual phonation of sound that's coming out, which is what he just did. Now, I cover all this in my singing course because you can get the best of both worlds. You can do both, but you've got to strengthen the mid voice. And if you don't strengthen your upper chest voice with regularity, this is precisely what happens when you default to head voice. Then head voice becomes the dominant feature of your voice, and you rely on it more and more and more, and it continues to atrophy the chest voice, especially over time as we age. Pretty good, man. I gotta say, Judas Priest rhythm section was the quintessential example of 80s metal. It really was. Them and Iron Maiden probably, a couple bands, very few, to be this adept at conquering and capturing this sound. Halloween too, the speed metal wave with Iron Maiden category too, but so these guys had the moves, and I'd love to say Scorpions and stuff like that, but it's really Judas Priest. There's a couple bands, and you can put in the description who you think is too, or in the comments section, but they had the moves, they had the chunk kind of stuff, they had the riffs, they had the catchy choruses, they were heavy, melodic at the same time. They were, you couldn't really make fun of them because they were so powerful and so many people liked him. You didn't dare kind of make fun of Judas Priest because you couldn't poke holes in like anything, even if you wanted to. So interesting band. See, you see him walking around, he goes, "If you think I'll sit around as the world goes by, you're thinking like a fool, cause it's a case of do or die." It's almost, humor me, but go back and look at some Halford stuff. It's almost like he's looking into a camera and just staying focused on the camera, like the audience is the camera. If you think I'll sit around as the world goes by, you're thinking like a fool, cause it's a case of do or die. Out there is a fortune waiting to be had. You think I'll let it go, you're mad, you got another thing coming. Right? And every time he's like, "Oh, he's looking at me. Oh shit, oh shit, this guy's gonna go." No, don't look at me, I'll turn to stone. Anyway, so it's really funny because that's an amazing, charismatic, authoritative approach without frenetically running up and down a stage to manufacture energy. His energy comes from within and him dominating laser pointed focal points within audiences and stuff. And that's a masterfully done showmanship kind of thing. Another thing really hard to beat. You think you're going to beat that, you got another thing coming. So when we get to Tim, it's going to be really interesting. So let's check this out. See what I mean? Okay, so I had to get in some of his screams and stuff, and I have more to this. I put a lot into the edits, but let's get to Tim. Let's check out Tim. Here we go. Okay, now, I mean no disrespect to anyone, Tim, I cannot believe you were able to step into those shoes and pull it off. Now, I've got to make some notations about his voice. His voice is girthier. Yeah! You know, he's got more on the Dio low endy kind of side, or the low end of Dio, not Dio at a high range, but that kind of bigger, fatter, warmer sound on the bottom. So it's even more interesting for me that someone like this with this voice type was able to step into that role. Now, in this particular case that I didn't see him later on, and again, I'm only able to get certain footage on stuff, so that's not totally fair. However, he has, I get mixed emotions about this. He has really amazing charisma to have the authority to walk on and be that confident to step in. You're either confident or stupid, and I don't think he was stupid, so pretty confident to walk in and pull it off. And I can't believe as loyal as the Judas Priest fans or like Iron Maiden fans or anybody else like this that's really loyal to the band, AC/DC, whomever, are so comfortable because he's making him feel that comfortable, because he's not such a complete departure away from Rob Halford. Now, he's got his own swag and his own thing, but some of the swag in this video, and again, I mean, no disrespect, it reminds me of like this super confident karaoke singer that knows that he dominates the karaoke stage. It's just that someone forgot to remind him that he's actually on the Judas Priest stage. Now, is that a diss or a slam? I don't mean it in that way. I just mean it's almost like ignorance is bliss. I could be on a karaoke stage strutting around like this, or I could be on a Judas Priest stage strutting around like this. And it has sort of that mixed emotion feeling for me of like, it doesn't quite have the same charisma or the same, just mesmerizing thing that Rob has, but it does have all the elements that are required to be and to step into Rob Halford's shoes. Now, again, I did not mean that. I hate to have to always be so politically correct. I'm not calling him a karaoke singer at all. I'm just saying it has that kind of not quite at the level of Rob, but so much confidence that I've done this on so many maybe smaller club stages or whatever that I'm qualified to step into this role, which takes a lot of cojones, right? A lot of, So, oh, I forgot to add, and his singing is epic, like epic. So it's not karaoke whatsoever. It's epic. And in some ways, he pulls off some of the screams and things better than Rob Halford in many respects. Okay. So I've got to say that in fairness too, because that's the absolute truth. Pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, he's got like a really girthy Rob Halford sound. He's got the sound with roaring lion behind it. It's really interesting. Okay, let's move up. Let's move up a little bit here. So we heard it as great screams. Take another look around. You're not going anywhere. Now that's kind of weird because that was somewhere between. The reason I brought up Dickinson too is that he's kind of somewhere between some of the girth of Dio or like a more gruffy, lower rangy kind of sounding singer. Some of the vibrato with some of the forwardness of Bruce Dickinson with some of the screams and a lot of the phrasing and a lot of the tonality of Rob Halford kind of all wrapped up into one. If you go back and really think about this, I think you'll agree. Maybe you guys can contribute some other influences, but I'm telling you. Yeah. Try doing that. Yeah. without going through the register break. You did hear his break a little bit. Let's back this up. Let's do this together. Come here. Come on. Check this out. Here, let's back it up. Check it out. Take it. Right? He's got the whole package, man. The guy's killing it. Killing it. Okay? So he's taken on Rob with the length of the breadth of the scream. So what did I say before all this was, man, you got to know your opponent. Charisma, power, head voice control, distortion, breath control for length of the sound, not being so frenetic and just frenetic energy going all over the stage, having command of the stage. The guy's taking on every characteristic and an element of Rob Halford and bringing his own thing into the game, which is really cool. That's why I said I have such mixed emotion about it because on the one hand, I'm saying, oh, you made the little comment about, bar singing and band, small club singing or whatever. But there is that, but then he brings his own other girthy, big, fat, round, monstrous element into the band. Now, again, Rob Halford gets back in the band because most people like what they were used to. They like what they grew up on. They like the nostalgia. They like, Rob Halford's, his motif and, again, his chemistry with the band and all the other things, elements that go into that. So... cool. Now, Tim is doing what I did. In fact, it was kind of an inspiration for me doing what I did when I did my version of Painkiller. Okay, I'll put Painkiller. I think I already said I was going to do that. I'll put Painkiller in there and what other Priest songs I've done. I'll put it in the description. You can check out how I did. He does Painkiller, the whole first parts of the verses in his chest voice. Extremely hard to do that. And sometimes he tips over into his head voice. Halford doesn't. Halford's almost his whole thing is all head voice, where Tim actually belts up into this register. Very, very hard to do this. Check this out. So, that was the only real true head voice note. He was kind of teetering between head, chest and head the whole time, but predominantly all chest voice up at the top. Head voice. Now, I think before the chorus happened, he started to lose his voice a little bit, and a lot of artists will do that. They'll get the audience to sing their parts. If you notice on this verse, he defaults back to a Rob Halford sort of sound and is predominantly in his head voice, very unlike the chest voice in the first verse. Check it out. None! Instead of it's right, you hear the difference? Yeah! And yeah! There's a big difference in the sound. It's defaulting to head voice, and you can clearly hear him do this here. All right. I think it was Gandalf or whoever it was that said, one does not just simply come in off the street and sing like Rob Halford, except Tim Owens. So who did it better? Well, again, another criteria was did the replacement singer come from a well-known band, and did they already have a lot of experience they brought with them? Answer no. The guy walks in and does this. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Because if you're honest, if you guys are honest with yourselves and you go back and you listen to really early Priest stuff, Rob doesn't have anywhere near the power of this. He doesn't have anywhere near the authority of this. Doesn't have anywhere near the charisma or any of this. This guy walks in off the street and pulls this off, and I think that's why they did the movie Rockstar based on this story, but they don't come out and say it. I don't know, man. I got to give it. Because, again, songwriting plays a role. Did he go on, with the band, on years, and did he contribute creatively to the band to take them to a new level? No, he didn't do that. But did he step in the bill in his shoes and foot the bill? Absolutely, yeah, for sure. In pretty much every way, and maybe then some, with some of the girth and authority and power of his range up top. So anyway, gang, tell me what you think. Excuse me, sneeze killer. and put your opinions in the comments. Please post respectfully. Let me know if I'm missing something or something else I should know about. And post other shows maybe we should look at that I wasn't allowed to to share, because I think that's really fair to have different elements or different times that these guys did this in rather than one performance. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, the proof is in the singing. Definitely check out my next video.